Can you guys see me? Is my internet okay? Just killed my VPN. Maybe that'll make it a little bit better with everybody. Yeah, okay. That's what I thought, video and sound. So, Patrick, the internet sucks. Let's see if we can clean this up a little bit. Okay, what about now? How's it with everybody? And I'll wait for you guys in the comments to let me know if you can see me or hear me. Are there any plans to implement Ouroboros Chronos? Yes, I would love to implement Ouroboros Chronos. It's one of my favorite protocols, and we got to get that done. How it would be done is the same way that Ouroboros Paris and Ouroboros Laos are going. A prototype group would come together. We'd write a SIP, and then we'd figure out a way to put it into the Ouroboros protocol suite. I'd like to do it in the age of quantum Hosky, but we'll take a look and we'll see what we need to do with that. The problem is I no longer have the ability to say, hey, this is the roadmap and let's go do that. In the Genesis Q era, it was pretty simple. There's like 3 entities. We have kind of a governance responsibility. We have a roadmap, and we're following that roadmap. And then you'd make decisions what you think are best for that roadmap and how to order things. We kind of live in a new era where there's multiple product committees and multiple institutions, multiple nodes. And so no one can really unilaterally anymore say, hey, this is what's going to happen with Cardano, unless you guys decide to put an executive function into Cardano. And it's an interesting question. We had too much executive function. And now the reason why governance has been so incredibly toxic and difficult is that there's only a legislative judicial function and no official executive function. So it's not clear how to create accountability for marketing, branding, and growth. It's not clear how to create accountability for a singular roadmap or delivery. We thought it would make sense since the pendulum was too far on one side to swing to the other side. But at some point, you have to reintroduce some form of executive function. If we wanted to get to a faster roadmap process, one of the things that could be done is to create a hybrid model where you go and you create roadmap workshops and you go across all the different countries, the institutions, you have product committees, and then one centralizing function puts it all together and says, this is the official roadmap. And that function would be elected, kind of like a president or kind of like a governor or some executive. And then they would be accountable, responsible for executing that. Then there would be another function to set the network level KPIs. Like, do we care about monthly active users? Do we care about TVL? Do we care about transaction volume? These types of things. So then you would look at that roadmap indexed against the KPIs, and then the executive function would be responsible for delivering that. And typically, if you look at this like a standard firm, there would be incentives that were connected for that executive function. For example, if you hit the KPIs, then you get bonus ADA on an annual basis or something like that. Now, the advantage of that model is it's fast. You can converge quickly to a pretty good consensus, and it allows for a singular vision to push the ecosystem forward. The disadvantage is once the executive function is in place, if people aren't in that orbit, they lose access to the roadmap. So it's not as decentralized. So the question is, can you replicate that in a completely decentralized way? And that's what people are attempting to do right now. When you look at the Intersect Product Steering Committee or Pragma, or a lot of these independent budget proposals that are coming through. It may work, it may not work, but the challenge is we can no longer definitively say things like, are there plans to implement Ouroboros Chronos? The best I can do at IO Innovation is write a SIP and write a specification and do the prototyping and simulation and deploy it to a test net to demonstrate that it works. But beyond that, there's no consent or governing capability to say, yes, it shall be done Q2. And we see this with Ouroboros Laos, where we're doing everything in our power to try to force that through, because I think it's a humongous competitive leap forward for the ecosystem as a whole. But what if the other node builders are unable or unwilling to implement that variant of it, and they get enough volume, it'll fork the network. And so, in other words, it just sits on the sideline. So basically, things go from we shall to we will make best effort given constraints. And that has to be sorted out. And that's the next level of governance conversation.